Hey there, welcome to this week's YouTube Live. I am going to talk about the deeper stuff of weight loss for women over 40. And this is a more serious topic, and it's definitely one that needs to be addressed because it doesn't get talked about enough. And women out there are frustrated and confused, and they're ready to throw the towel in when it comes to weight loss. And a lot of the time, it is because the stuff I'm going to tell you today isn't talked about. It's kind of shoved under the rug or isn't recognized or something like that. So what I'm going to do in this video is I am going to talk about what actually happens once you hit midlife or about the age of 40, beyond just the hormonal changes and the physical changes. And I'm going to talk about why it is necessary to look at weight loss in a holistic approach that includes both mind and soul, applying all of that, not just the physical part. And I'm going to talk about why that is, what that looks like, so that it can make sense to you. Because I know a lot of you out there kind of know that there is something deeper to weight loss now that you're in midlife, but you just don't really know what it all means or how to channel it. And it doesn't get talked about enough. So what a lot of you need is just a little nudge and a little guidance of what to do with that. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing I want to talk about is when we hit midlife, we obviously know there is a big physical transition. I'm not even going to go into that. But there is also such an internal shift that takes place as well. And you can compare it to puberty with teenagers. Obviously, they have the physical changes, but there's so much more that takes place too. Their identity kind of shifts, their attitude, their likes and dislikes, all kind of change. And it's very kind of an awkward time for them. Well, it's really no different for us. We have just as big of a shift going on within us at midlife, at around the age of 40, as we did when we were teenagers. It's just not talked about and it's not recognized. And it's impacting our ability to lose weight. So we feel this inner shift. We feel sometimes our identity changing. We're transitioning out of the decades of, maybe building a family, focusing on building our career. We have just so many things that we're building and focusing on outward. But then we notice that there's kind of an introspection that kind of happens, or a yearn to find out more about ourselves. We start to look inward. And that feeling, as it was in puberty, is uncomfortable and kind of a restless feeling. Now, ideally, what we need to be doing with that restless feeling is we need to be channeling it into our identity shift, into looking inward, into what do we want our lives to look like in this next phase? What are our goals? What are our dreams? What do we want to change? But instead, what a lot of us do is we take that restlessness, and to quiet it down, we overeat, we overdrink, we overshop, we do something to numb it out. And that is not, it's creating just a ton of stagnation in our lives. I mean, not to mention weight gain or inability to lose weight, but there's so much more to it. There's so much stagnation. So, and it's not, like I said, it's not talked about. We don't really know what's going on with us because no one's ever educated us about it. So we just kind of cope the best way we know how. So what I do with my clients is I help them instead of quieting down or numbing down this awkwardness, restlessness, transition, whatever you want to call it. We channel it in a way that is supposed to be channeled, and weight loss is then possible. I know a lot of us don't want to look at this stuff. We don't want to look at mind work and soulful work. But be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Is what you're doing now working? Is constantly searching new diets, new foods, new calories, new macros, hormone, is that working for you? To just focus your energy on that, is that working for you? So to ignore it, I would say it's definitely kind of in a way being avoidant or just kind of shoving something under the rug. I understand that there is an absolute necessity to educate yourself on hormones and nutrition and how your body works now that you're in midlife. It's necessary, but it's just such a small part. What I do with my clients is, yes, I am fully knowledgeable and I am an expert in those surface level things like nutrition and calories and exercise. I can give you the latest, most accurate, effective information, but I want to give it to you and then let's move on. It doesn't take a lot of time for me to educate you on those things. So it's necessary, required, and important, but it's just such a small piece of the puzzle. So I do want to acknowledge that is necessary. But then let's work on the things that are really, really keeping you stuck. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the mind work. Now, when a lot of people hear, oh, I need to do the mind work to lose weight, I think what a lot of women think that is, or think that means, is I just need to have a positive attitude. I just need to love my body, or I just need to say these affirmations and think positive, and I just need to do those kinds of things. That's sort of important, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about when I say mind work. I am talking about really, really, really taking a look at what's going on. What is going on a day-to-day basis that is affecting your ability to lose weight? So I'm just going to name a few of the most common things that women don't even think about that's keeping them stuck when it comes to mind work. So first of all, emotions. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether you consider yourself an emotional eater or not, I promise you, your inability to process and manage your emotions is keeping you stuck. I promise you. Whether it is you're feeling boredom, so you eat, you're feeling anxiety, you're feeling frustration, heck, you're feeling happiness. Sometimes we overeat when we're feeling happiness. Whatever it is, we feel an emotion. We don't even know this is going on, but this is what's going on. I'm going to make sense of this for you. What's going on is an emotion comes up and you don't like the feeling of it, or it's too intense, or it's too much. And the only way you know how to dull it down or get rid of it is to overeat, overdrink, over something. No one has ever taught you, when this comes up, here's what you need to do. It's not taught to us. So by the time we reach 40, it is so deeply ingrained in us that it's all subconscious. And it's all amplified as well, because we are going through this transition. So it's like pouring fuel. Hitting midlife is like pouring fuel on a fire when it comes to the intensity of emotions. So learning how to feel whatever it is without having to rely on anything to numb it out, dull it down, is a huge piece right there. So be honest with yourself and really look at, when are you overeating? When are you snacking to dull down something? And here's even kind of a further example of what I want to use. A lot of you struggle with social situations and food, whether that's out to eat at a restaurant, you're at a family gathering, your mom has cooked you your special meal, and so you have to eat it, right? Or that would, upset her, or you can't miss out on that, and it's a tradition. So we are eating so that we don't have to experience the negative feeling of seeing somebody disappointed, or feeling awkward, or feeling out of place, or feeling like the attention is on us. Most of you have probably never thought of those small things, but those add up over time. And if you don't learn or don't recognize it, you will not lose weight. You won't do it. It won't happen. I have been doing this long enough. I've been working with enough clients to know that you will not successfully lose weight unless you look at this stuff. So what I teach my clients how to do is, first of all, we're going to find these things that I can help you see what you can't see. That's one of my superpowers. I can see what you can't see. I show it to you, and then I teach you what to do instead of eat, instead of whatever, people please or whatever it is. So that is something I want you all to think about. So please don't start, and I even put this message down below, please don't start any new diet until you really listen to what I have to say and take a look at yourself and be really, really honest with yourself. So the other thing that I want to talk about too is just kind of, when I say like mind, body, and soul, what I mean by soul is just like your deeper inner being, like the real you. There is a shift that takes place in midlife that is deep. And what happens is when we don't really address that, when we ignore it and we overeat instead, our soul is just kind of dormant and everything just is stagnant. There is zero growth. You stay completely stagnant in your life as far as your introspection, your personal development. So really figuring out what sort of identity shift is going on. Why, if you're feeling restless, that's a sign. Either that's a sign that something needs to change, that's a sign that something needs to be looked at further, but you can't ignore it. You can't. And I know sometimes it's easy to just shove everything under the rug, but ignoring it just prolongs and exacerbates the problem. So what I see, I'm going to give you an example of what I see happen all of the time. I was just talking with a client about this yesterday. Is we get to this point in midlife and we realize we weigh more than what we want to weigh. Sometimes it's a little bit of weight, 5-10 pounds. Sometimes it's way more, 50, 75, 100 plus pounds more than we want to weigh. And we're kind of at this crossroads where we say, okay, yeah, the best version of me, what I really want for myself is to feel comfortable in my body, to walk into my closet and pick out anything that I want to wear, feel amazing in it, love the way I look in photos. That's like that's the highest thing that I want for myself. But at the same time, we're at a point in our lives where we're just kind of like, screw it. I'm 40, 50, 60 plus, and I don't want to care so much about those vanity sort of things. And so we kind of use that as an excuse to not really live at our higher self. So it's kind of this tug and war, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Plus, we're getting messages from society that, hey, this is what happens when you hit midlife. You gain weight around the middle. You can't fit in your clothes anymore. Even your doctor tells you, like, this is normal. Weight gain is normal at this age. Like, just accept it. So we start to kind of get brainwashed. Like, hey, I'm just going to kind of settle. This is what's supposed to happen. And this happens so slowly. What I'm going to tell you happens so slowly, you don't even see it. It is what I call like this slow trickling of just total settling. So you just slowly over time, you just accept more, you settle for more, you compromise a little bit more. And it happens so slowly that it doesn't even really hit you in the face until you like really stop and look at it. To, to where you get to the point in your life where you you're settling in the way your body looks, how it feels, your sense of style and clothes, all of that is just dead because you're settling so much. And you start to kind of look back and it's like, wow, like how much better could my life be if I stopped settling? What would my life be like if I if I was at my goal weight and I was excited to put clothes on, I was excited to put a swimsuit on, I could care less what photos were taken of me. I could feel like the real me and really live at my highest self. We get so out of touch with that because it's kind of like this slow trickle. And I want you to see it. I want it to like slap you in the face by watching this video and really take a look at it and be honest with yourself and really consider, is that what you want for the rest of the second half of your life? It can be so much better. So what I'm also noticing, this is another thing that I'm noticing with women, that's kind of happens slowly over time so you don't notice it, is that we get so used to using food or alcohol a lot of times too to meet our desire needs. We just, by default, we seek desire, we seek dopamine, and we just use food to fulfill that. So that slowly over time, without you knowing it, food becomes the highlight of your life, to the point where if I told you you couldn't get any desire from food over this coming weekend, you couldn't eat at all, you couldn't get any pleasure from food, I would just say you have to eat a tasteless bar for your food. You would get no pleasure out of food for the next weekend. Most of you would not even be able to tolerate it. Most of you would think, I don't even know what's life, what is even worth living if I can't get some sort of enjoyment out of food, right? Or an alcoholic beverage or a Starbucks drink or something. You would just be devastated. And what I have to say about that is, I mean, there's no judgment in that. You get pleasure wherever you want, but do you want a life where food is the highlight? Is that really what you want for yourself? My guess is most of you don't. So one of the things I work on with my clients is let's start to shift. Let's make our food boring and our life exciting instead of the other way around. And we can slowly start to shift that, because trust me, this is coming from my own personal experience. The more boring you can make food in your life, and the more exciting your life is, it is so much, your quality of life is so much better. Your life is so much richer. I promise you. You may now be thinking, how could that even be? How could I even live a life without my chocolate or my sweet sugar or my alcohol? How could I even, but I promise you, your life is so much richer when you don't have such an emphasis on that and such an importance on that. So I can teach you how to do all of that. So if this is resonating with you, by the way, I want you to please, please, please at least reach out and ask me a question, or comment, or fill out an application to be a client or something. I'm gonna put my link here. So the other thing that I want to talk about is, this is another thing that you probably haven't considered. And it's a concept that I teach my clients. It's called the 50-50. So life is always going to be 50% positive emotion and 50% negative emotion. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, how much money you have. It's always going to be a 50-50 balance. I promise you. And if you want to argue that with me, that's fine. I'll argue it with you. But that's how the world works. It's 50-50. So right now, if you are weighing more than what you want to weigh, you are not addressing these issues that I'm talking about, you're 50% negative. You're in pain 50% of the time, a negative emotion 50% of the time. You may feel positive. You feel positive half the time too, and you're getting your pleasure and your dopamine hits from maybe sugar or alcohol. So it's a 50-50 experience. And then also losing weight and being at your ideal weight is also a 50-50 experience. So either way, you're going to face negative emotion. There's no way around it. So which 50-50 life do you want? What you have now, or a 50-50 life where you're at your goal weight, you're living your highest self, the real you. You aren't numbing out with food or alcohol, so you're able to experience the richness of life without dulling or numbing anything out. Which 50-50 experience do you want? And I'll tell you from personal experience and from helping hundreds of women, a 50-50 life at your ideal weight is in living your true natural desires instead of the desires of food and alcohol is so much richer. We are not put on this earth to fill our desire bucket with food and alcohol desire. We can still enjoy those things, but when we're using it as our sole form of desire, it's just such a dull life. I promise you. So my question to you is, what's the downside? I can't think of one, by the way. What's the downside of going all in on weight loss, addressing these things that I'm telling you about, the mind work, the soulful work to get to your goal weight? I cannot think of one downside. Is it always rainbows and daisies and awesome and feels amazing? No. But you already are struggling right now anyway. You're already in pain. So, it's like, what's the, problem with transferring that pain from where you're at now to maybe some of the pain of really getting over these things that I'm telling you about? So that is the main message that I want to get across to you. And I want you to really think about it. I don't care if you reach out to me or not, but just please, please, please don't start a new diet until you really get clear on these things. And I know a lot of you out there, tell me if you can relate. It's like you're so bored almost. You're so bored with just like calories, macros, exercise, hormones. You know that it's important and there's a time and place for it and we need to fine tune it. Like you all get that. But please, like really, really be honest with yourself. You've got to be bored with it. I know, especially like that's why like when we hit midlife, we're just like so bored with surface level shit. So I encourage you to go deeper with why you are struggling to lose weight. And not only will you lose weight, but my gosh, you will grow as a human. You will grow as a person. You will start to feel alive again. And there is a bazillion amounts of information out there about the surface level stuff. But what I'm talking about, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of information. So that's really why I want to get the word out. I'm one of the few people that really addresses this. I want to get the message out. And even more so, I would love to help you with it. I would love for you to be a client and I can actually help you through this. So a lot of you know that there's kind of this inner struggle and pull, and you know it and you feel it. You just don't know what to do with it. You're like, what does this mean? What do I do with it? How do I channel it? And that's where I can help you. I can say, okay, this is what's going on with you. This is why you feel this way. This is what you need to do about it. And I lay it all out for you. Because the reason we're so dang confused is because no one's ever taught us this. No one's ever talked about it. So I help you dial in on all of the surface level stuff. Like we get that dialed in, we figure it out. And then we also do all of this other stuff too. And it's so exciting. My clients, every single one of them, they are amazed at how they're losing weight, but the work that they're doing to lose weight is just rippling out into all areas of their life. Their relationships are improving. Their career is improving. They're making more money. They're better parents. The list goes on. And they're all just amazed because they're like, I just thought I wanted to lose weight. And I can't even believe how all these other things are changing too. So for me, helping you, I think the most exciting part is seeing how you become alive again and you feel like you're living the real you. And then the weight loss is great too, but it's almost like a side thing. It becomes like a secondary thing. So, I have a comment here. It says, thank you so much. It says such a unique and deep perspective on life and how it can help with my weight loss. Yes, it is. It's a totally different, we as midlife women are craving this stuff. We're craving it. We are so hungry for it. So that's why I want to help you. Now, when we were in our 20s and 30s, maybe we didn't have that yearning. We were just in a phase in our life where that really wasn't part of the evolution of our life. Like I said, we were so outward focused that this kind of thing really didn't appeal to us, and that's fine. And we didn't really need a lot of this introspective work in order to lose weight, and that's fine. That was then, but this is like, we are different now. We are different now. Just as much as a child is different from a teenager, a young child, we are that much different now, being in our 20s and 30s to midlife. Completely different. And we are hungry for it. So feel free to ask me any more questions, but that's really the message that I wanted to get across to you. And I work one-on-one with my clients and we tackle all of this stuff. And it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so enlightening. And definitely necessary in order to successfully lose weight. So, all right, that's what I have for you today. Please reach out to me. I don't care how you reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram, send me a message, find me on Facebook, send me a message. Click the links in my bio on Instagram, my website, kellykeelan.com. I don't care. However you want to reach out to me. If you just have a question, that's great. If you want to become a client, do that. Whatever you need in order to find out more information on this, it's fine with me. So, all right, we will see you in the next video.